Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at a crime that, honestly, it sounds like it was ripped straight from a Hollywood script. The 30 million drill.
It really does. We're talking about the huge Gelsenkirchen heist back in 2025, a crime of just immense scale and, frankly, audacity.
And it wasn't just any bank, was it? This was a Sparkasse branch in Germany, and the timing was key.
Exactly. They hit it over the Christmas holiday weekend, specifically between December 27th and the 29th. This was no smash and grab. It was a planned surgical operation.
The numbers alone are just staggering. They got into over 3,000 safe deposit boxes.
Which is something like a 95% breach rate. It affected, an estimated 2,700 customers? Just a huge number of people.
And the value, the police first said around 30 million.
Right, but that's just the initial estimate. When you hear what customers actually reported losing, that range could be anywhere from, say, 10 million up to a monumental 90 million.
Police called it very professionally executed. They even compared it to Ocean's 11.
And that comparison isn't about glamour. It's about the planning, the execution, the potential inside knowledge.
So today, that's our mission. We're going to unpack this heist, put it side by side with other major German robberies, and then explore how these failures are pushing us toward a new kind of vault security.
The smart, connected kind, using IoT and machine learning.
Okay, so let's unpack this. The professional execution. Where did it even start? This wasn't some guys with dynamite at the front door.
No, absolutely not. The sophistication was there from the very beginning with the entry point. They came in from an adjacent parking garage.
Drilling directly into the underground vault.
Exactly. A direct, high-powered approach.
Which means two things. One, they had heavy, specialized machinery.
For sure. Nothing you'd find at a hardware store.
And two, they had to have incredibly detailed knowledge of the building's layout. The blueprints, essentially.
Precisely. They knew the weakest point in the vault wall. And the timing, over that long holiday weekend, it was perfect. Witnesses saw men with large bags on the night of the 27th.
So they moved in right as the bank shut its doors for the holiday.
That's right.
But the truly astounding part for me is the failure in the discovery. The police were actually alerted, weren't they?
They were. On the 27th, someone reported suspicious dust near the bank. But the crew was allowed to keep working for 2 more days.
How does that happen?
Well, it's now under internal review, as you can imagine. Officers responded, but they didn't see any, obvious signs of forced entry on the outside, so they marked it as secure and left.
And the thieves just kept drilling.
They did. The robbery wasn't actually discovered until late on December 29th, around 4 in the morning. And it wasn't even a security alarm.
It was a fire alarm. I remember that detail.
Yes. All that dust and debris from the drilling must have finally tripped a fire sensor. Firefighters show up, and that's when they find this massive hole in the wall and a devastated vault.
By which point the crew and the money are long gone.
Long gone. And the getaway was just as clean. Security footage caught a black Audi RS6.
A serious performance car.
Oh, yes. And to make it harder to trace, it had license plates stolen from Hanover, which is over 200 kilometers away. The perpetrators are still at large.
Which just screams professional networked operation, likely with local inside help.
It almost has to be.
This Gelsenkirchen job, the high-speed drill attack, it feels very modern, but it also feels like part of a tradition of these spectacular German bank robberies. It makes me think of the Berlin Tunnel Gang.
That's a crucial comparison. It really highlights the 2 different ways you can approach breaching physical security. Gelsenkirchen was fast, loud, industrial.
And Berlin.
Berlin in 2013 was the polar opposite. It was slow, quiet, meticulous, almost geological in its patience.
I remember the stories about that. How meticulous are we talking?
I mean, meticulous is an understatement. They planned it for over a year. They rented a garage stall right next to the bank using fake names.
So that was their staging ground.
It was complete staging ground. They built false walls inside, pretended to be working on motorbikes to explain away any noise.
And from there, they dug a tunnel.
A 45-meter tunnel. That's nearly 150 feet long, just snaking its way under the ground directly to the vault.
The logistics of that are just mind-boggling. Think about the dirt.
Right. An estimated 120 tons of excavated sand and rubble. They had to get rid of all of it quietly over a year without a single neighbor noticing. It's incredible.
And what was the final haul for all that effort?
They got into just under 300 safe deposit boxes. The take was estimated at around 9 to 10 million euros.
And just like Gelsenkirchen, they tried to cover their tracks.
They set fires to destroy forensic evidence. And here's the kicker. The crime was never solved. The statute of limitations ran out in January 2023. They got away with it.
So you have these two master classes in crime. Berlin is the slow, quiet crawl, and Gelsenkirchen is the loud, industrial sprint.
But the common thread, the real failure point in both, is what police suspected from day one.
Insider knowledge.
Exactly. Someone knew where the blind spots were. Someone knew about the non-steel reinforced concrete in Berlin, or the most vulnerable wall in Gelsenkirchen. The security failed because it was static and the criminals weren't.
Which brings us to the aftermath, the human cost. This is where the story gets really, I think, heartbreaking for the 2,700 customers in Gelsenkirchen.
It's just devastating, and it exposes this huge misunderstanding people have about safe deposit boxes. The robbers took millions, sure, but the real loss for these families is magnified by a massive insurance gap.
The standard coverage was just, what, 10,000 euros?
Only 10,000 per box.
And people had their life savings in there, cash, gold, things far exceeding that value.
Yes, and not just financial value. Think about the irreplaceable items. One customer reported losing her mother's and grandmother's gold jewelry, stuff held for decades.
You can't put a price on that. The sentimental value is everything.
And you can see that raw emotion in the aftermath. Hundreds of angry customers were gathering outside the bank demanding answers. It got so tense the police had to intervene after threats were made against employees.
It's just a total sense of betrayal. You trust a bank vault to be the safest place on earth.
And then you look at the fine print on the contract, and you realize how little protection you actually have in a situation like this.
Can you sort of break that down for us in plain English?
Sure. Essentially, the bank is only liable if you can prove they were grossly negligent. Like, they left the vault door wide open.
But for a sophisticated crime like this?
Their liability is typically limited. And they are absolutely not liable for sentimental value. You get the market value of your goods, but only up to your insured limit.
Which was just 10,000 euros. So if you had 50,000 in gold plus your family heirlooms, you're getting 10 grand, and the history is just gone.
It's a brutal reality check. And it proves that traditional security, the kind built on just thick walls and steel doors, is fundamentally limited.
Right. It's optimized for yesterday's threats. Berlin showed that with enough time, you can tunnel under it. Gelsenkirchen showed that with enough power, you can drill right through it.
And that's just the external threat. Physical security is even worse at dealing with the insider threat.
Someone who has the keys.
Someone who is authorized to be there. I mean, look at the 2014 Bank of Albania case. A vault employee stole $6.5 million.
No drill, no tunnel.
No.
Yeah.
He just walked in, took the cash boxes, and then hid the theft by filling the empty boxes with, get this, books and rolls of string.
Books and string. You're kidding me. That's almost cartoonishly simple.
It seems that way, but it highlights the core weakness. Once you're inside, the cameras and locks don't matter. The security system is designed to guard the perimeter, the door. It has no idea if the asset itself is still there.
The system needs to be monitoring the asset, not just the room.
Exactly. Which brings us to the future. This is where the research into smart vault security comes in, using the Internet of Things and machine learning.
So if the walls can be breached, and people can't always be trusted, you have to make the contents intelligent.
That's the idea. The research is focused on adding this new invisible layer of protection by monitoring the weight of the assets on the shelves.
The weight? So how does that work in practice?
You equip the shelves with simple IoT devices like a Raspberry Pi and connect them to high-precision load sensors. These track weight changes in real time.
So the system knows how much a stack of cash is supposed to weigh.
Right. It's initialized with the denomination and number of banknotes. So if someone swaps that cash for a lighter stack of paper or books and string, the system flags that mass discrepancy instantly.
So that Albanian bank employee would have been caught the second he put the box back on the shelf.
The instant. And to make sense of all that data, they use machine learning. The ML models are trained to predict the banknote count based on weight and flag any anomaly.
They tested a bunch of different models for this. What worked best?
Well, what's fascinating is that the simplest models were the most effective. Linear regression and lasso regression had the highest accuracy with the lowest error.
So why would simpler be better here?
Because the problem itself is fundamentally simple and linear. More cash equals more weight. The more complex models, like support vector machines, they actually introduce noise by trying to find complex patterns that just weren't there. It was pure physical anomaly detection.
So what does this all mean then for the future of security?
Well, this technology goes way beyond just bank vaults. Think about high-value retail, government facilities, anywhere with a high insider risk. It adds a smart, dynamic layer that complements the physical steel. It provides a constant audit trail.
So from a year-long tunnel in Berlin to a Christmas drill in Gelsenkirchen, it's clear that determined criminals will always find the weakest link in a static security system.
They will. And the takeaway here is that the future can't just be about thicker walls or heavier doors. Those are temporary barriers.
The real shift is from guarding the door to monitoring the asset itself.
Exactly. Using smart IoT and weight analytics to get an instant alert, even if the person causing it has a key.
You know, we think of bank security as being all about reinforced steel. But if the best criminals in the world can just drill a hole and get away clean, maybe the real future isn't about making the walls thicker. Maybe it's about making the contents inside smart enough to scream the moment they're gone. That's something for you to mull over.